Don't ever let anyone tell you your life can't turn upside down in a single afternoon. Because trust me, it can. There I was, 45 years old, calloused hands, a construction worker with a busted back, a marriage in the rear view, a business sunk by a bad partner, and nothing much left to lose except a few old dreams and a half-decent toolbox. If you told me I'd end up fighting an all-out war with a yacht club, HOA Queen Pin, I would have laughed in your face, until the day I bought the Meridian. Yeah, that happened. Imagine this. Spring air, a marina smelling of diesel and seaweed, and me, standing in a crowd of sunburned retirees at a county auction, watching a beautiful 62-foot yacht go for less than a used Ford. Call it fate, call it a last-ditch Hail Mary, but I laid down the cash, promising my late father, out loud like a crazy man, that I'd finally scatter his ashes at sea, just like he wanted. Next morning, toolbox in one hand, hope in the other, I walked back to the dock, heart pounding like maybe my luck was turning for once. I stepped onto that deck, then froze. Smoke drifted from the chimney, coffee on the breeze, and laughter echoed from below deck like I was the intruder. I walked down the steps, slow, trying to process what the hell was happening, and that's when I saw her, blonde 50s floral robe, coffee mug in hand, and entitlement dripping from every pore. She didn't ask what I was doing there. No, she demanded. Who are you? Like she owned the tide itself. I told her, I'm a new owner of this yacht. She just smirked, lifted her cup like a toast, and said, that's funny because this is my home. Now, if you've ever tangled with a woman named Karen, you already know I was in for it. And believe me, I didn't even know the half of it yet. Before I could even process, her husband Tom, big guy, balding, chewing his sandwich like it owed him money, stormed up from below, glaring at me like I'd broken into their house. Two kids peeked out, Dylan and Emily, teenagers with matching eye rolls. Karen folded her arms, smiled like she was about to punch me in the gut, and dropped the line. We're not leaving. This yacht is under HOA jurisdiction, and as president, I decide who stays. Hoa! My first mistake was laughing. My second was showing her the bill of sale. She didn't even look. Paperwork. Cute, she said, the way people say good boy to a dog. Thing is, the HOA declared this vessel abandoned years ago. It's community property now. I tried logic. I tried showing her the state registration, but Karen just shrugged, told me to clear it with the dock committee, and then called Marina Security when I wouldn't back down. 10 minutes later, two rent-a-cops in reflective vests showed up and politely explained I couldn't occupy this vessel while the ownership dispute is pending. Pending? It had been pending since yesterday, apparently. That night, I slept in my truck at the far end of the marina, watching strangers sip wine on the deck I'd just bought. When the sun came up, there was an orange sticker slapped across my hull. Notice of violation, unsafe vessel pending HOA demolition hearing. I tore it off, but 3 more appeared by noon. I confronted Greg, the dock manager, a tired guy, tired eyes, tired voice. Look, Paul, he said, Karen runs everything here. You make her mad. Life gets hard. And then, in a whisper, her husband used to work in code enforcement. Friends in the county office. That's when I realized this wasn't just squatters. This was a political machine on water. Next came the Facebook post. Karen Special. We have a situation involving a predatory property flipper attempting to evict a family from their home. Please report any suspicious behavior. That post went local viral in an hour. Strangers started glaring at me, muttering, shame on you, Paul Moore, under their breath. The sheriff's deputy, Karen's friend, showed up, handed me a warning, and said I wasn't allowed on the vessel until the HOA's claim was resolved. On what basis? I asked. They filed a temporary occupancy affidavit. Filed it on what grounds? I almost laughed. You'll have to take that up with the county. Meanwhile, Karen stood at the end of the dock, arms crossed, smirking, and called out, better luck next time, mister. More. Don't forget, HOA fines accumulate daily. By the end of that week, I owed $3,200 in penalties for crimes like aggressive posture toward board member and unlicensed renovation attempt. If you're not laughing, you've never been on the wrong side of an HOA. I started recording everything, from my truck, from behind dumpsters, from every angle. Karen was throwing dinner parties on my yacht, hosting the HOA board, running the place like a floating country club. Her son fished off the stern, her daughter strung up fairy lights. Tom cleaned the deck with my supplies. My yacht had become the community's stolen vacation home. Monday, I tried my luck at the county office. Janet, the clerk, looked up my file and said, "It says here the HOA has temporary oversight if the vessel's deemed abandoned." "I just bought it," I shouted. She just sighed. They'd backdated the claim. That night, listening to the laughter on my boat, I came within an inch of cutting the lines and sailing out just to prove a point. But I knew they wanted that, wanted me to snap. So I did the one thing Karen Clark didn't see coming. I played it smart. I walked into the HOA office, demanded every bylaw and doc meeting minute from the last 5 years. Karen's face twitched. "Why?" she asked. "Because I'm filing an appeal, and because I think you're lying." And then, just for fun, I dropped the bomb. "Nice listing on Airbnb, by the way. $450 a night. Not bad for a stolen yacht." She froze. And that, my friends, was the moment the tide turned. I started reading. All the HOA rules, the contracts, the marina leases. It didn't take long. Turns out their water rights had expired 6 months ago. No legal authority over the slips, the docks, or the moorings. Only the parking lot. I fired off an email to the state's Department of Coastal Management. Their reply? "As of current records, the HOA does not hold jurisdiction over navigable waters." I printed that out in triplicate. Next, I called in my ace, Miguel Alvarez, my friend, part-time private eye, full-time social media bloodhound. Within hours, he'd found Karen's Airbnb listing, photos of my yacht, my woodwork, my deck chairs. Luxury Marina Living, hosted by KC. All proceeds benefit the HOA. Over 30 reviews. "She's running a full-blown business on your boat, man," Miguel said. "She's committing fraud and using the HOA as cover." I bought a dash cam, hid it on the dock, and filmed for a week. Caught Karen greeting new guests, Tom helping with luggage, even cash payments changing hands. I compiled everything, photos, documents, state emails. Walked into the HOA office and dropped the folder on her desk. "Your HOA lease expired. You're running a scam," I said. She barely blinked. Allegations like that could be considered harassment. "Then call the cops," I said, my phone recording every word. "I'll show them your Airbnb page." She leaned in, lowered her voice. "People who make trouble for this community don't stay long. They disappear quietly." I made sure she saw the red light on my phone. That night, Miguel showed up with 2 coffees and news that nearly knocked me over. Turns out, Karen used to be listed as a caregiver on the previous owner's estate. Old Harold Brennan died in hospice 3 months after he changed his insurance policy to name Karen Clark as beneficiary for $40,000. After he died, the HOA declared the yacht abandoned and transferred it to community management. Miguel smirked. "You picked the right yacht, my friend, or maybe the wrong one." So we called in the big guns, attorney Rosemary Rhee, maritime property shark. She took one look at the expired lease and the fake business and said, "We can dismantle them in court, or hit them where it hurts, reputation and legality." With her help, I sent a cease and desist letter citing state law and unlawful commercial use. Karen's smile cracked for the first time. "This means war, Paul." "Good," I said. "I've been waiting." That week, Greg Parker, the dock manager, tipped me off. Old maintenance locker, slip 14. I waited for night, found a metal box full of Harold Brennan's paperwork. Maintenance logs, medical receipts, a copy of the insurance change, and a handwritten note. Karen promised to look after the Meridian. Don't let her sell it. Underneath, a photocopy of the beneficiary form naming Karen, dated 3 weeks before Harold died. Miguel let out a whistle. Elder abuse and insurance fraud. She's been laundering HOA money for years. Rosemary turned it all over to the Coast Guard and Attorney General. Everything changed. The violation letters stopped. The Facebook posts vanished. Karen went silent, too silent. But then her husband tried to move the yacht at dawn. I called Rosemary, and within 24 hours, she'd filed an injunction. The judge approved it the same day. and we taped copies to the hull. When Karen saw the order, she nearly choked. "You think a piece of paper will stop me?" she hissed. "No," I said, "but the Coast Guard will." For the first time, she looked nervous. The investigation blew wide open. Kai's agent Martinez called. Turns out, this wasn't Karen's first time. Financial irregularities, obstruction, illegal dock seizures, all linked to her HOA. We set up cameras and caught board members sneaking off with boxes and electronics. Martinez grinned. "You just captured a conspiracy to conceal evidence." But Karen hit back. Smear campaign online, fake reviews for my business, violation notices for verbal harassment through tone of voice. You can't make this up. But the twist, the kind that makes your jaw drop, came when Agent Martinez confirmed Harold Brennan's signature was forged on the insurance change. And Karen herself signed the witness line. Insurance fraud, elder abuse, federal charges. Suddenly, I was the guy who'd taken down an empire. Miguel and I celebrated with pizza on the dock, Karen hiding behind blackout curtains for the first time. But even then, the threats came. A bullet in my mailbox, a note, "Sail away while you still can." Rosemary set up a meeting between the HOA, state land officers, and undercover federal agents. The conference room was packed. Karen in her power blazer, smug as ever, started her speech, and I slid the expired lease across the table. "That's irrelevant," she said. I handed her Airbnb photos, rental records, insurance fraud files. Gasped from the room. Karen tried to shut me down until Agent Martinez stood, flashed his badge, and told her to remain seated. The board got hauled out in handcuffs. As they led Karen away, she hissed, "You think you've won, Paul? You have no idea who you're dealing with." I just smiled. "Yeah, Karen, that's the problem. You thought I was someone who'd back down." The Meridian sat empty for the first time in months. I walked up, hand on her hull, and whispered, "Welcome home." But people like Karen don't drown quietly. Sure enough, within days, her replacement, Patricia Parker, sued me for defamation and emotional distress. Rosemary wasn't surprised. It's not about winning. They want to exhaust you. But Martinez had bigger news. Offshore accounts, fake companies, illegal transfers, more elder abuse. Karen's web was deeper than anyone knew. And 2 former clients had died under suspicious circumstances. Now it was a homicide inquiry. But in the end, the truth caught up. The agents moved in during Karen's big Marina renewal gala. She took the mic, spinning her usual story, until I stepped up, folder in hand, and started reading off her crimes. Cameras rolled. She lost her cool, admitted to everything, and was cuffed on stage. News spread like wildfire. HOA president charged in a multi-million-dollar fraud ring. Her empire? Gone. For a while, I thought I could breathe again, but Karen had one last card, an appeal, arguing the HOA charter protected her as a private entity. The judge granted her bail, and she returned to the marina like a celebrity. Press conference, loyalists, the works. Rosemary just grinned. Let her talk. The more she says, the deeper she digs. At the next gala, I called her out on every fraud, every scam, and she finally snapped, confessing on camera that old man owed me. I took care of him. Martinez stepped up, badge flashing, and the crowd watched the queen fall. The entire board was arrested. After months of chaos, Liberty Tide, my yacht, renamed, was released back to me. I scattered my father's ashes at sunrise, the promise finally kept. The marina changed. No more absurd rules, just peace and honest work. Karen? She went to federal prison, sentenced for life, and according to rumor, tried to run her cell block like an HOA. She sent me a few letters, full of threats and lipstick. I burned them all. Sometimes I wonder if she'll ever admit what she did. I doubt it. Some people never change. But in the end, her empire fell because I refused to give up, because I learned that the loudest voice in the room isn't always right, and that sometimes one stubborn soul with a camera and the truth can turn the tide. If you ever find yourself fighting people like Karen, don't let them write your story. Stand your ground, fight smart, and when it's over, take a moment to watch the sunrise on your own terms. What would you have done? Would you have fought back or sailed away and let them win? Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. And remember, the only power bullies have is the power we give them. Don't hand them the wheel.